unique thing about the tropics is the fact that it's kind of isolated from the outside elements. Doesn't matter what the weather is outside, it's always 75 degrees roughly, pretty humid in here, and that's to kind of recreate the conditions that the animals need. We also have a very high diversity of animals on exhibit that can be in the same space as the public. Roughly 230 birds of around 50 species free flight, in addition to all of the fish, reptiles, and invertebrates that we also have out here.
In this building, this is where most of the animals that I take care of are. I take care of all the fish in the lake, I take care of the fish in Cutaway Stream, and I take care of the invert exhibits in the lobby as well. So in the lake, it's mostly fish and turtles from Australia. So you have an Australian lungfish, 2 species of turtles. One is the Fly River turtle, and one is the snake-neck turtle. We have some rainbow fish in there. Take care of the stingrays, and there's plecos in there as well. It's a large exhibit, so making sure everything's running, making sure it looks good and the windows are clean. In the tunnel, there'll be one person that has the magnet on the glass, and then I'll usually be standing up at the top of the lake with the magnet on some bobbers and a pole so I can move the magnet in between the windows from the top.
The environment that we keep the animals in out here is extremely important. A lot of people might see it as just set dressing for the most part, but it couldn't be further from the truth. Just as the animals support the plants by spreading seeds, fertilizing the plants with their droppings, the plants are providing habitats to the birds so they can pick and choose where they want to hide out or where they want to roost for the night. It also provides a natural form of nesting material. We have a lot of birds out here that breed, and a lot of times they'll be using things like fallen twigs, dead leaves, things like that.
First things I do is I do a walk through the whole exhibit. I do it slow. I kind of get an idea of what I'm going to be doing for the day, what I'm going to be doing for the week, what's coming up on my schedule. Usually if it's my Monday, which is this Sunday, I will water because I want to make sure everything's clean and ready to go. And if I have time later on and cleaning needs to be done, and it's safe to do so with the guests and all that, then I will go ahead and do that. And it just depends on the day. Everything's different every day. The roof was put on just about 10 years ago. It has done tremendous amounts of things for my part of it, in that our old exhibit, our old roof, was cowl wall, and it was fine for that day, but this is so much better that we get so much more light in, that we're getting plants that flower and grow faster than they ever did before with the old roof.
Instead of having panes of glass or of polycarbonate, we actually have inflatable plastic pillows that make the bulk of the roof, and that's all connected to a machine that pumps air into the pillows that both allows the building to be insulated from the outside elements and also allows higher amount of sunlight and especially ultraviolet light to penetrate through the building.
I think the biggest thing is that it's an immersive exhibit. When you come in here, you are surrounded by tropics, whether it's the birds or plants. Even going through the tunnel, you're surrounded by the fish and things like that. So it's not looking at the animals, it's being with the animals and plants.
So the rainbow fish that we have down there, it's kind of a self-sustaining population. The lake exhibit is big enough that it's kind of its own as natural ecosystem. So the rainbow fish are just kind of constantly reproducing. The snake-neck turtles in the winter, they'll come into Tropics. In the summer, most of them will go outside in the ASA. We have the stick insects on exhibit. They only eat 1 to 2 species of plants. We have those 2 plants growing on grounds, which is nice. So I will go out and cut fresh browse for them so that they always have something to eat.
One of the big things that we try to focus on out here is encouraging natural behaviors of the birds. So a great example of that is we have a species of bird out here called the white-breasted wood swallow. In the wild, they're eating a lot of flying insects. It's not very practical or easy to just release a bunch of flying insects in here and hope that they're catching and eating them. So we have a controlled insect toss that we do at every feeding to make sure that they're working those muscles, eating in a way that they would in the wild, and encouraging those behaviors.
I love when I'm working, especially up here towards the entry, and someone who's never been here before, whether they're 5 years old or 50 years old, and they walk in and they just look around and just go, whoa. Because when you're outside, you can't tell what's coming up. Not till you walk through those main doors and you see full-grown trees, you see the birds skimming through. That whoa factor for me it always makes me smile.
What makes me come to work every day, what gets me excited about working in this building, is seeing the birds be birds. This provides our collection with as close of an approximation of nature as you can give them under human care. So when I see birds performing courtship behaviors, nesting behaviors, when I see successful reproduction from the birds, that tells me that the birds are comfortable enough out here to act the way they would in the wild. So it allows people to develop that connection with a part of the world that is very different from Kansas, but a part of the world that's very imperiled. So, for lack of a better word, shows us what we could stand to lose if we don't contribute to the conservation efforts that we as a facility contribute to.